Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Tracknowledgement. If you notice, I got my Producer's Corner hoodie on. I mean, it's November, it's getting cold out there, and gotta get me one of these. But you notice if you go to buy it, it was anyway when I looked for it. The black ones, the black shirt and the black hoodie are out of stock. And all it made me think of was that scene at the beginning of Reservoir Dogs where they're picking names, and it was like, oh, I want to be Mr. Black. Like they want to pick their own colors. Like you can't pick your own color. You get all these guys fighting over who wants to be Mr. Black. So anyway, none more black. So today I'm going to be digging into my work on Producer's Corner Sample Challenge 114, which is, I realize I haven't, until this moment, tried to say this name out loud. So the album is from 1974. It's called Mourner's Rhapsody, and the artist is Czeslaw Neumann, maybe, C-Z-E-S-L with a slash through it, A-W, which is probably Czeslaw or Czeslaw, maybe. Neumann. It's this kind of cool prog rock soul album. The thing that it reminded me most of actually was the Jesus Christ Superstar rock opera, Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber, where it's just like everything is over dramatic and kind of an epic scale. Lots of, it's like an aria, he's just singing at the top of his lungs the whole time. And then there's all this like deep male chorus work on there, which is really cool, and that's what really jumped out at me. That's what I gravitated to first, why I wanted to work on it. And after I did mine, I never listened to anyone else's entry before I finished mine, because I don't want any comparison. I don't want anything kind of seeping into my brain. I don't want to hear what anyone else has done. So I just did mine first, and a lot of people are picking up on the chorus parts. Hopefully, I used them differently. So the other thing I did differently on this one. Normally, I actually did a little video on this earlier, back in the Tracknowledgement playlist. Usually, I feed everything into Reason and then chop it all up. You can't really see from there, but for instance, going from the green to purple or whatever, I go in and I pick little parts and I rearrange it and I have it do what I want it to do. In this one, I knew I wanted to play with the vocals, that chorus bit, a lot. So I did what I demonstrated in that video, where I fed the whole thing into Serato Sample, which is something that makes it really easy to just go through and select little chop points, and then you can play them on the keyboard. So that's what I did. And the first thing I grabbed was part of that chorus thing. So that's the singing, and that drum rolls on the left channel. Now, it doesn't really do that in the song. I'm doing then I go to another piece, then back up, then another one. So I just made that up out of the samples, That's the first part that goes. And then a little while later in the song, I use some different vocal parts. So it's all chopped up and I have the original one coming in just at the beginning, and that gives it harmony. So that's kind of the second part of the song. And I started off the song with this. There's a bit on the album where he leaves that a cappella. It's a shadow. And I'm actually not even sure what he says. I thought he might say, "Why are you weeping?" or "Why are you with me?" But now, even now, listening to it a cappella, I don't know what he says. So your guess is as good as mine. But I just like that so much that I took that a cappella piece and used that as kind of my solo singing bit. Threw a ton of echo on it, as you can hear. And then this loop comes in. Which I had to pitch shift part of it that goes down in order for it to work. And what's interesting is when I pitch shifted the note down, you can hear the bells go down and then back up, which adds a nice little touch to it. Over that loop, I liked that loop, but if I turned the bass up on it to get the bass guitar, I got way too much rumble because there's congas in there too, so I went over that with my own bass sound. Which later on in the song I switched the pattern to this. I found having long sustained notes and then switching to sharp little percussive notes on the bass makes for a nice arrangement change. At that part where it goes percussive, I bring this loop in. It's from a whole different song on the same album. And I love these here. Those finger plucks. Really cool. And I had to, there was a lot on this album, these loops, where there was something panned way over here and something panned way over here. So in the mix I had to pay a lot of attention to the width. Some of that stuff I brought in, just so, you know, there's a bit over here and a bit over there, but it's not completely split. Another loop from Czeslaw Newman. That comes in second part of the first, verse part. Just an organ thing. There's a ton of organ and chorus. Just people have some of their work, some of their flips. They've been, giving religious titles and stuff like that, because there's something very, churchy going on here. Towards the end, another loop from the same album. This here. Alright. That's just a stretched out piece of the chorus, not played on Serato sample. That's just sampled and stretched out. But when you add all of that together, you get this nice pattern. Oh. Here we go. That just all works really well together. And you know, I had an idea of what I was going for when I went in to look for those chops, but one of the cool things, as most of the producers watching this will know, when it comes to chopping something up, sometimes you just feed it in and you start looking around, and you work with what you find, and you just start playing it, and you end up with this pattern where this goes up and that goes down. Cool. Now all my other samples need to kind of follow that. So that's all the stuff I took. Oh, except for the very end. What is this? Oh yeah. So I mean, that's a whole crescendo. I mean, that's one sample. It's a whole crescendo, and I wanted to use that. I was coming to an end of this beat being 2 minutes, and I just wanted to use that as a conclusion. But I had to. I was using 2 parts, and I had to put them on 2 separate tracks, and the first part kind of fades out while the second one fades in, and the second one has all the reverb on it. So this is the first one. And I faded that, and then the second one just comes in at that second part. And then, because that ends so abruptly, I went in and added my own chorus sounds fading out of that. One of the last things I did, I didn't like the way it was ringing at the end. It ended too quickly, so I added my own kind of chorus keyboard thing there. Then I have my standard requisite beats. Lots of break beats. This one, which has a cool little piano thing at the beginning. And I'm recording. And for this part, I edited it to take the snare out. I'm editing around the snare. And then I let it go here. So over that, I added my own drum machine backup enhancement. To get that thicker snare. I actually didn't go over the bass drum because the bass drum had such nice roll to it, kind of ghost notes and stuff, and I didn't want to ruin that. So I just basically added that snare, and I added a lot of ride cymbals and things like that. Let's see. More beats. That one's just kind of way in the background for the hi-hat, really. It's all together. Over that second part of the verse part, I brought these in, which are break beats stretched double time, and then they come in full time here. That's when everything picks up with that loop and this bass line. So I don't know, I just wanted that part to pick up, kind of go double time on the hi-hats and stuff. So yeah, that's the loops and the beats, the Serato sample stuff, playing the chorus stuff. So my I wanted, again, some vinyl. I wanted to scratch some vinyl on there. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't have an idea. Sometimes I just grab the first thing in front of me. And I happened to grab this old record I have. It's the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the movie on record. Which was fairly crackly, so I had to go back in and remove crackle on my cuts. But yeah, it's cool. You know, one of those weird 80s artifacts. And one thing I did, I went through and I grabbed little bits of dialogue and I scratched them. So at the very beginning of the song, I have Marcus talking about the Ark, about going after the Ark.
It's like nothing you've ever gone after before.
And then this.
Well, no one knows it's secret.
The one I got the most kick out of, because it's completely nonsensical, but it just works with the beat, it works with the energy of it so much, is Belloc, right at the beginning of the movie, yelling Jovitos to the Jovitos, and he holds up the amulet, and that lets Indy get away. And what he yells, I scratched it. And then the second part. Now, if you listen to this with the music, and this one I think just works so well. Just timing, you know, timing and arrangement. The very end, I have Salah, John Rhys Davis.
He's not of this earth.
And that was that. But this was the real fire on top of everything. Was while I was scratching that, while I was just going through the record, you know, for a whole track, a whole couple of tracks, in Reason, and just recording me scratching whatever, I came across this little piece of music, and I was putting it in on beat off the record. I was like, screw this is so good, I have to sample this. So I went and just grabbed the actual song offline, and it's part of the Raiders of the Lost Ark soundtrack. Put an echo on it. It's a horn, but then listen to what it does. Horns. We're bringing a beat over that. Bass line, right? Oh yeah, that's cool. And there's nothing in there from the sample challenge. There's nothing in there from Czeslaw Niemann at this point, even though the bass line I'm working off of his sample. Anyway, that's cool. And the other thing I grabbed from the Raiders soundtrack, same track later in it, and it's a longer sustained horn sound. This. Which I actually stretched out to put on beat. And that, let's see, I'll put in a beat and you can hear how that goes. I'll leave that cut in. So yeah, honestly, this one it was weird when I first did the chorus stuff over a beat, and it was just chorus and it was just beat. There was one of you guys, who was it? Can't remember who it was. Last week, the 113, and oh, it was Snoopy, the one you did Snoopy. Who was that? Anyway, that beat, honestly, like that clicked something in my head where it's like, just leave it simple. Just find that one loop. And honestly, if that Raiders thing, the dun 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 dun, if that was from the sample challenge, fuck that. I would have just left it like that with the beats over it, because that's just slamming, you know. And I didn't have anything that simple from the Czeslaw Neiman thing. So, but yeah, when you did the Snoopy thing, and it was just like a couple of notes over dun 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 over and over again, and this kind of offbeat beat that comes in with no downbeat, and everyone in the studio was just like, damn. And just that going was simple enough, and then you started to bring in this thing, this whole other sample with like a rattle to it and everything, and then you brought in the Snoopy, the Peanuts theme. Was like, damn. So anyway, that was my personal winner from last week, and I thought I'd end up with something like that, or I'd want to end up with something like that. Maybe I will, you know, one of these challenges I'll just find the simple little thing and leave it, but that almost never happens with me, where I go into a beat thinking, I go into a production on a song thinking, I'm going to have it sound like this, and have it actually end up sounding like that. It almost never happens. It ends up becoming something else. In this case, it took a little work kind of towards the end, arrangement and stuff. Those little chop outs, those little edits, those little vocal bits, and the scratching. And the Raiders thing really ties it in, but I ended up liking it. Goes on to end. So that's that, man. I went digging in the wrong place, but I found something I liked. So thanks for watching, and I'm not going to be around this weekend for the live sample challenge YouTube video thing. So but I did send this in to Chris, and you know, he'll play it, and hope you guys like it. And I'll be back for 115. Thanks, man. Take care.